Good evening, my little monsters. It's midnight, and the time for the story has come. Darlings, for the love of God, what is this atrocious story about a Brazilian serial killer? I am utterly aghast at this woman's sheer audacity and cruelty. Welcome to my show. If you have a voracious appetite for content that frightens, that is bizarre, and that makes mystery dance, you are in the hottest spot on the internet. I post a new story, a new nightmare every single day for my little monsters. If your heart throbs for these dark tales, be sure to leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and, of course, fire off in the comments other themes you want me to parade here. It's ironic. One often comments on how Brazil, despite having so many lamentable crimes, doesn't seem to generate the same volume of deranged minds we see, for example, in the United States, those cinematic serial killers. One only has to open their mouth for this aberration to emerge, a case I classify as extremely bizarre. And, honestly, I fear that the police may find more victims than we anticipate. I am shocked, but watchful. Let's get straight to the point. To dissect this madness, I put together a timeline of events. We will analyze each victim and then hear what the delegates have to say about the mind behind all of this. Our plot begins on January 31, 2025. This first crime had been shelved, but it rose from the ashes when the patterns of horror were repeated. Marcelo Ari Fonseca, 51, was found lifeless inside his own home in Guarulhos, São Paulo. His body was in an advanced state of decomposition when the police arrived. The person who called the police was a woman who had been living with him for a few days, Ana Paula Veloso Fernandes. She claimed to have tried to call her neighbor for 3 or 4 days, but he didn't answer. So, she called the authorities. Ana Paula was there when the police arrived. There are images captured by the police showing Ana Paula with a shocked expression upon learning the neighbor had passed, followed by a subtle, almost devilish smile. Strange? Absolutely. Ana Paula had moved from Duque de Caxias to Guarulhos with her twin sister, Roberta, in January. She started living in Marcelo's house, supposedly paying him rent. Let's be honest, she was living in the house, the body was in an advanced state of decomposition, the smell must have been unbearable. Why the delay in calling the police? The cause of death was initially undetermined and the case was even filed away on May 5 for lack of evidence. But it was reopened on suspicion of poisoning. The theory? She administered the poison and waited days to throw off the investigations. The motivation? The vulgar ambition to take possession of poor Marcelo's assets. The second case, in April 2025, is a delicious confusion. I had to review it to absorb the malice. In the first half of April, Ana Paula filed a police report claiming she received a possibly poisoned cake at the university where she studied. She said the cake had a strange smell, and it came with a note written by the wife of a military police officer. This PM? He was a flirtation from a dating app who, being married, didn't want anything serious with her. Ana Paula became attached, and when rejected, vengeance became the main course. Her social media photos suggest a fetish for police involvement. She dreamed of having a husband, children, a family. Male contempt, it seems, ignited her rage. She used the cake report to feign victimhood and, more importantly, to throw off the investigation of her real crime, a sadistic revenge against the PM who rejected her. She thought, you know what? I'll make sure he never has peace again. Ana Paula created a fake profile named Carla on a dating app. She started talking to Maria Aparecida Rodriguez, known as Mara. The very next day, Mara went to Ana Paula's house with Roberta for coffee. The cake Mara ate was full of poison, apparently cleaning products. Mara died at home that dawn. The plan was vile. Ana Paula sent several messages from Mara's phone, pretending to know the PM and be afraid of him. Some messages read, "Call the police, help." Notes were also planted at Mara's house with phrases like, "That cop is no good." Ana Paula falsely reported to the police that Maria Aparecida had been threatened and murdered by the officer in question. That night, calls were sent from the victim's own cell phone to the military police about suspicious movement around her residence. Threatening messages were also sent to the PM's wife, using a chip registered in Mara's name. "The police are not stupid, my dear." Technical analysis proved that the chip used had operated on the same devices linked to Ana Paula. She was trying to frame the PM's wife for the cake at the university. In reality, she just didn't want anyone to eat the real poisoned cake she brought to college because she knew it was contaminated. After Mara's death, Ana Paula acted suspiciously, making several calls demonstrating concern about the autopsy results, monitoring her own trail. After this timeline, I'll come back to mention that Mara's daughter spoke about the case, and the exhumation of Maria Aparecida's body was granted for new toxicology tests. In the same month, on April 26, we had another fatality, Neil Correa de Silva, 65, in Duque de Caxias. He died after ingesting a poisoned feijoada delivered by Ana Paula. The connection? Ana Paula was friends with Neil's daughter, Michelle. Investigations revealed that Michelle hired Ana Paula for 4,000 Brazilian reals to kill her own father. Ana Paula traveled from São Paulo to Rio de Janeiro, at Michelle's command, bringing the poison to mix into the elderly man's food. Neil had difficulty eating, so his food was usually blended. It would have been Michelle herself who blended the feijoada and then added the poison brought by Ana Paula. Neil fell ill and died hours later at the hospital. After his death, Ana Paula and Michelle quarreled, each blaming the other. And what's more, Ana Paula allegedly confessed to poisoning at least 10 dogs in experiments to test the effectiveness of the poison before using it on humans. Shocking, but not surprising for a sociopath. Investigators also intercepted encrypted messages between Ana Paula, Michelle, and Roberta, the sister. They used the false code TCC, Final Project, to discuss the payment of the crime debt. The horror show did not stop. Less than a month later, on May 23, we have our fourth confirmed victim, Hydermziz, 21, a Tunisian citizen. He was discarded in São Paulo after ingesting a poisoned milkshake provided by Ana Paula. The two also met on a dating app. It was the same old song, she wanted family and marriage, he didn't. To take revenge, her answer was death. There was also the issue of a fake pregnancy. Ana Paula and Roberta invented the story, perhaps hoping to force him to stay or extract money. He denied the relationship. One day, the two went out, and on the way back to Hyder's house, Ana Paula added the poison to the milkshake. What makes this even more perverse is what followed. Ana Paula saw him getting sick and pretended to provide aid while filming his agony to send to her sister. To delay help, she also gave the wrong address to investigators. He passed away shortly after, and his body was repatriated to Tunisia. Because of this, Brazilian authorities cannot exhume the body. The poison escaped our hands, at least for now. After this timeline of crimes, what was the determining factor that placed Ana Paula as the orchestrator of the crimes, and not a victim? It was the suspicion surrounding that fake cake at the university. The police were already suspicious. They noticed things weren't adding up, especially Ana Paula's insistence on being too involved, constantly wanting updates on the investigation. It seemed she was present at every crime scene, knowing everything. They gathered all this evidence, and on July 8, she was arrested in Guarulhos. The investigation into the facade cake revealed signs of her involvement in all 4 murders. She is currently held preventively while investigations continue. In August 2025, her twin sister, Roberta, was also arrested, suspected of being an accomplice for being aware of the plans and possibly assisting. On September 4, the public ministry formally indicted Ana Paula for 4 qualified homicides. The collaboration between the São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro police stations is crucial. Her preventive arrest was decreed because she circulated through different cities, posed a risk to public order, and, of course, manipulated information to mislead the investigation. More recently, on October 7, Michelle, the daughter who hired her father's murder, was also arrested in Rio and transferred to São Paulo. 3 of the 4 victims have had their bodies exhumed for toxicology exams, with the exception of the one in Tunisia. This week, we received the results that prove the malice. São Paulo's forensic police confirmed that samples collected at Ana Paula's house contained poison. The substance found in a vial is terbufos, an agricultural pesticide commonly known as chumbanho, rat poison. Ana Paula used controlled doses to try to simulate deaths by natural causes. News reports revealed audios of Ana Paula calling the police to report the deaths, attempting to frame the PM, "I wanted to report a murder. There was a fight with a police officer." Today, the police are trying to discover if there were other victims besides these 4. Her background reveals that Ana Paula is a nursing technician and a law student, knowledge that, used for evil, facilitated the execution of her crimes. Authorities noted that she made a point of being present at the death scenes or being the first to call the police in all cases. With 4 homicides and the same modus operandi, the police do not hesitate to call her a serial killer. Conversations with her and her sister revealed a disturbing coldness and calculative nature. They reportedly laughed during depositions. Some say it's a reaction to stress, but I say it is the signature of the psychopath. The alleged motivations for each crime are trivial, but executed with refinement. Marcelo, killed to avoid rent debt or appropriate the house. Maria Aparecida, Mara, an innocent victim, used as revenge against the PM who rejected her. Neil, killed by Michelle for financial interests and inheritance. Hyder, revenge for contempt and a search for financial gain, as evidenced by the false pregnancy photos sent threateningly to his family abroad. Preliminary exams on the victims' bodies showed pulmonary edema and internal injuries consistent with chemical intoxication. Ana Paula provided contradictory testimonies. She confessed involvement in Neil's death but claimed she helped a friend who asked her to kill her father. Then, she claimed she had killed Marcelo by stabbing him, something the forensic evidence disproved. She was only trying to confuse. There were previous reports of abuse and violence from her ex-partner, who accused her of threats and persecution. He reported that she resorted to self-mutilation to try to frame him, and she allegedly set fire to a family shed that held several religious objects. Investigators recovered a message from Ana Paula threatening her ex, saying that if he didn't remove his belongings from a certain location, in 2 days, 3 coffins would come out of there. A promise of death. She even sought out the Tunisian consulate to try to monitor the repatriation of Hyder's body. The fear of being discovered was palpable. Delegate Alison Leite of the DHPP highlighted Ana Paula's sadistic profile, stating she takes pleasure in killing and that in many cases the motivation was the simple desire to kill, showing clear signs of psychopathy. Investigators are awaiting complementary reports to define the exact accountability of the accomplices, Roberta and Michelle. Mara's daughter revealed crucial details. Her mother barely knew Ana Paula, introduced as Carla, having met her only 1 day before the crime. The daughter found it strange that Ana Paula showed up at their house after the death to retrieve supposed belongings but did not attend the wake or burial. In Marcelo's case, neighbors and the building manager attested to her apparent normalcy in the days when the corpse was still inside the house. Hyder's case in Tunisia gained international repercussion, with his sister lamenting the loss and thanking the Brazilian police's efforts. Ana Paula is also reported to have a minor daughter, cited in another judicial process. The DHPP is now revisiting several cases of suspicious deaths that occurred in 2024 and 2025 in regions where Ana Paula had been. The Behavioral Analysis Unit was called in to draw up her psychological profile. I feel immense frustration, my little monsters. So many victims, so many families destroyed for such petty reasons. I feel deeply for the families. I hope justice is relentless. At this point, I don't hesitate to say that Ana Paula is the culprit. She planned it, she confessed some things, and the evidence is mounting. Confession alone isn't enough, the police need solid evidence because people can be coerced into confessing. But, in this horror show, I believe the proofs confirming her guilt are about to be solidified. Comment below what you think, and until the next time.